Hi, hello there. I was just thinking as of late how crazy it is that we want so much in life. There are so many things we all want in life. There are so many things that we want to achieve, and so many circumstances we want to change. But more often than not, even when we get what we want, we quickly find ourselves wanting something else or wanting more of what we already have. And this usually just repeats a loop of dissatisfaction. But recently I came across the idea of how not wanting something is as good as having it. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized how true that is in so many cases. Of course, you're going to be able to find exceptions, but generally speaking, if you don't want something, you're as content as you would be as if you had it. And in some cases, even having something will just continue that loop of dissatisfaction. And so sometimes not wanting something is even better than having it because you're more free and you're more content. And it just got me thinking as to where this dissatisfaction comes from. And I think all dissatisfaction stems from a single place, and that is an incongruence between our expectations and our reality. So when our reality doesn't meet our expectations, whether those expectations are self-generated or socially conditioned, we become unhappy, we become unsatisfied, and this can appear in every area of our life, right? We can be unsatisfied with the career path we chose, or our relationship with a person, or our friend group, or even ourselves, right? And this dissatisfaction ends up manifesting in the form of wanting. We may want more money, more property, more clothes. We may want a partner who's smarter or more attractive or more patient or has these kinds of hobbies or these kinds of interests. We may want friends that are more successful or more fun or more aligned with us. We may want a self that is more competent and more admired, more charming, more beautiful, whatever it is. There are always these things that we want. But of course, the truth is you can't have everything. And whatever you do in life, whatever choice you make in life, there will always be trade-offs. Every gain implies a loss somewhere else, right? Saying yes to something is saying no to something else. And of course, there are better choices than others. But so often, we don't properly think about the choices we actually made. And I think where things can get problematic is our tendency to complain and to wish things were different or to wish we had something, right? Complaining is poison. Wishing without action is poison. The both of those are forms of mental stagnation that keep you stuck, reinforcing that loop of dissatisfaction, because when you complain, you're not solving anything. You're simply reinforcing the belief that reality should be different, but you're not doing anything to change that. You're just making comments, you're just wishing, and you're reinforcing this loop of negativity and misery, and so you stay stuck. You live in your head and you remain unhappy. Constantly complaining in general is just one of the best ways to live a miserable life, right? Because you're reinforcing your misery and you're not doing anything about it. What are we supposed to do about this dissatisfaction? And I think when it comes to facing our dissatisfaction, when it comes to any feelings of being happy with our lives, being happy with our career or our partner or any of our circumstances, you really only have two choices to make. You can either change your expectations or do something about it. You can change your expectations or you can change your reality. Because again, right, if dissatisfaction comes from an incongruence between these two things, then fixing that incongruence has to address one of those aspects. So it's either you let go of the desire or you go after what you truly want, but don't linger in action. Don't just complain and don't just wish things were different. And this is also for myself, because that's something that I tend to do mentally. I can just fantasize about alternative scenarios and fantasize about my life being different, these circumstances being different. But at the same time, even when you find something that you're yearning for, do you really want the thing that you're yearning for? Or are you just attracted to the fantasy of it? Because I find in so many cases that whenever I want something, I want the idea of it, and I don't actually want everything that comes with it. Because again, right, every path has its costs. If you're looking for a higher paying job, that job may take more of your time, your health, or even your freedom. A quote unquote better partner that has the qualities you were searching for may lack the very traits that you didn't know you valued the most and was present in your previous partner. More success may come at the cost of peace or authenticity. And so, in general, there's just so much that goes into the things that you want in life, living a happy life and living a life that you're content with. How do you know you're living a happy life? How do you know you're doing the right thing, right? How can you escape this loop of dissatisfaction? And again, it just goes back to changing your expectations or doing something about it. And whatever route you go, I think the main theme behind it is really fully committing to yourself, to the life you're living and the choices that you're making. Whatever you choose, whether it's a career path, a person, or a place to live in, commit to it with your whole self. Embrace the trade-offs, You have to let go of the fantasy of having it all and instead treasure what you do have. And if something still feels wrong even after doing all of that, do something about it. Either move toward what will bring you true fulfillment, or let go of what's holding you back. Let go of those expectations and desires that are leaving you dissatisfied. Because again, not wanting something is as good as having it. So just let go of those. Don't just sit still and complain. It's really just a matter of learning to move forward or let go. Because obviously happiness doesn't come from having everything. Of course, it would be nice to have everything, but there's so many happy people in this world that have far from everything. You have to be fully immersed in the life that you're in, and you have to embrace all the good and the bad that comes with it. I think that's the main thing. You have to have that acceptance. As they say, right, comparison is the thief of joy. And I think the reason why we end up comparing our lives to other people's lives in the first place, or other alternative potential lives, is that we're not fully immersed in our own. We're always just stuck in this limbo thinking, oh, I wish I had this, I wish I had that. I'm unsatisfied with this. I wish this person were more interesting. I wish I had more of this. You're always just thinking about these things. But if you're just constantly wishing and you just constantly complain about how your life isn't the way you want it to be, then you're just going to be stuck there. You're just setting yourself up to be miserable. And if that's what you want, go ahead. But in general, if you're dissatisfied, you have one of two choices again. Change your expectations or do something about it. And at the end of the day, being happy with your life is a lot more about having clarity as to what really matters to you. And it's being grateful for what comes with the choices that you've made, And if there's anything that you truly do want, it's taking those actions. And everything else outside of that, just let it go. It's all noise. It's all things that are holding you back from, being happy with your life. Really think about the things that you want and really think about whether those are things that you actually do want. Actually take into consideration the trade-offs. And after you've done that, think about the good things that come with, what you have right now. Like with the position you're in, the people you're with. And think about the good things. Are those things that you would want to give up? In some cases, those are things you would want to give up. And in that case, do something about it. So yeah, change your expectations or do something about it. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope y'all have a good morning, my fellow peasants.